have Michelle Hawk today. I'm very excited to have her. Michelle has quite a background. She's been a psychic and intuitive probably most of her life. And she works with shamanic energies. She has a certification as a Usui Tibetan Reiki Master, Karuna Master, Reiki Master, Illuminated Master Healer. She does channeling, she does healing, and she teaches all of these things to other people. Her resume is actually longer, and I'll let her go into that some more with you. I'm going to say I haven't had experiences with Michelle for the last 10 years now that have been just fantastic. Like, oh, she does animal communication, and that's what she did for me. So it's just a wide range of talents that she's really honed. Anyway, so welcome, Michelle. Come on up.
Thank you.
Michelle's going to do a quick meditation, and then we'll jump in.
Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, thank you. Our meditation will be very quick since we're actually going to be doing an extended practice as part of our work today. Does that sound good, everybody? Yes. Yeah, that sounds good. Give me a clap. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and take a few breaths to drop fully in the body. Beginning with the exhale, everyone breathe out together. Good. Deep breath into the nice soft belly. And exhale with a sigh. Again, deep breath into the soft belly. Exhale with a sigh. 2 more, just like that. Deep breath in. Last one, deep breath in. And out. Good. That's our first layer of dropping into space. We'll be doing many more layers as we go. So please know that this is a continually unfolding journey. Yeah, come on in. Please make yourself. That's okay. So as we are beginning to descend into the layers of consciousness that comprise our embodied reality, that's the main topic of our work today, is embody wild. Embody wild movement. But before we do that, I ask any container, any group that I'm working with to agree to 4 things. These are not the 4 agreements, they're Michelle's 4 agreements, don't get confused. Okay. The first of which is I agree to hold a safe and sacred space. Second of which is I agree to show up exactly as I am, meaning not putting on a face, not trying to, seem, I have no idea. We're not trying to seem anything at all. We're showing up exactly as we are. Number 3, I agree to show up fully. Whatever your 100% is in this moment, maybe you're like, I feel amazing, so my 100% is all the way up here. Maybe today, your 100% is here. Whatever that is, you agree to show up fully. And number 4, I agree to ask for help if I need it. Okay, whether that's your neighbor or whether that's one of the organizers or me. If we're all agreeing to those 3 things, let's give me a clap on 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. All right, beautiful, thank you. See, we're already using our bodies, right? We're not just kind of smiling and nodding. Okay. So, embodiment. This is, I would go so far to say as this is one of the things I consider to be a fundamental epidemic of humanity, is that most people do not actually live fully in their bodies. And maybe as we go along, you'll see what I mean. Maybe you're not quite there yet. You're like, I don't know, Michelle, that seems a little far-fetched. But believe me, as we go along, I promise you'll start to see more about what I mean when we define these principles. And I will say also, as Teresa mentioned, I've been working in psychic and intuitive realms for my entire life. I was one of these very magical kiddos who would talk to animals and make patterns with stones on the floor. And of course now we know that's animal communication and making crystal grids, right? They have a name for these things. And fortunately, my parents never told me that was wrong. They just said, okay, what else is the dog saying? Thinking, that's nice, Michelle, use your imagination. But now we know that that was really my intuition. So I was very cultivated in my intuitive practice. I was very aware of my psychic abilities. And does anyone else have a similar experience of being a child and being really on it with your intuition? Go ahead, yeah, raise your hand, right? All of us are intuitive beings. We're all energetic beings. That's not ever been the question. But as was the case with me, and as is the case with a lot of people, where we run into trouble with that is translating that into an embodied reality. How do we take the full magic and majesty of who we are as divine beings and translate it into like this earth thing, right? Has anyone ever felt some frustration around that of how do I, right? How do I translate all that I know that I am into my earthly experience? There's some disconnect here. I was no exception. I feel pretty confident asserting that I didn't actually fully land in my body until my early 20s. And some people say, oh, that's so, so early, like, good job you. And some people say, better late than never, whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? It's that I spent the first 20 or so years of my life craving this connection between my internal reality of light and love and connection and intuition and magic to come into alignment with my embodied reality, and feeling a lot of despair and a lot of heaviness that wasn't the case. Can anyone relate to that too, of feeling that confusion and it feels kind of heavy and it feels like we don't really know what to do, right? This is a thing, and a lot of us don't even realize that something is missing. This is where my clients usually find me, where they're like, Michelle, I don't know what to do. I feel I am connected with all, with all that is, and with life, and with love, and with spirit, but I'm not making enough money to pay my bills. But I have trouble forming meaningful connections with other people. But I just lost my job. But whatever these earth-based reality things are that feel hard, that feel really heavy. And so we can look at if this is the case for so many people, there must be some sort of disconnect, generally, as a society. Is that fair to say? That there might be something off a little bit? Huh? Imagine we live in a society where we're trained to look at our phones all the time, where we spend all our time indoors. Our nature deficit disorder is becoming a very predominant theme that is being discussed in the zeitgeist, right? Has anyone heard of nature deficit disorder? Yeah, there's a couple of really good books on that. But essentially, it's all coming down to we don't really live fully in our bodies. And to a certain extent, it's not our fault, because we live in this world that trains us not to. But what becomes available to us when we are embodied? What does embodiment even mean, right? So I'd love to hear, let's just popcorn style, a couple of words. What do we think of when we hear the word embodiment or embodied?
Grounded.
Grounded, great. What else?
Authentic.
Authentic, love it.
Connected.
Connected, great. What else?
Translated.
Translated, I love that. That's one of my words. Okay, great. What else?
Present.
Present, yeah.
With
Right.
grace.
With grace, love it.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable, right? Great, this is a great collection. Yeah, let's all acknowledge all of the amazing words on 1, 2, 3. Okay, great, yes, thank you. We're all participating in this experience. We know what that feels like, right? We know what it feels like to feel embodied, just like we know what it feels like to not be fully in our bodies, right? This is a familiar experience. Okay. So when we're embodied, what do we have access to? We have access to grace. We have access to authenticity. We have access to presence. We have access to vulnerability. Translated, right? That's one of my favorite words because, and we'll get into this, about the ability to translate etheric frequencies, our light bodies, our higher selves, our intention, our consciousness, into a 3D reality. It's a translation process. Right? And if we had more time here, or if we had perhaps multiple meetings, I'd walk you through some of my alchemy curriculum where we talk about moving energy through the different layers of density, where the physical reality is the most dense, the most heavy. So things take a little longer to move through this realm than through the realm of our consciousness. And often they can get lost in translation, which leaves us feeling confused, leaves us feeling ungrounded, leaves us feeling unsafe, leaves us feeling disconnected, right? So this is what we're feeling like when we're disembodied, is all of these things: confused, ungrounded, unsafe, disconnected, alone, right? Feeling separate, feeling lost, not being fully in our health and in our aliveness. So embodiment gives us those things. Embodiment lets us be present here. lets us access the wisdom that lives in every single one of our cells, that lets us come home to ourselves and feel grounded, feel confident, have easier access to our health. We all agree that embodiment sounds like a good idea? Yeah? If embodiment sounds like a good idea, give me a clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. I love it. We're on the same page, people. So let's talk about wildness. Because as I said, this movement, it's the Embody Wild movement that is, and I started this movement, so, beat my own horn, beep, beep. But it is this thing that is gaining momentum. I'm speaking about it with you. I'm speaking about it with lots of people. I'm writing about it. But it's more than me, right? You've heard of the rewilding movement? Anybody heard of rewilding, right? Yeah, this is a thing. It's looking to answer that question of who were you before society told you who to be, right? Who were you as that innocent version of yourself? So popcorn style, again, I want to hear some words of what do we associate with wild or wildness? What do you got?
Freedom.
Freedom, yes. What else?
Spontaneity. Control.
Spontaneity.
Yeah.
What? Out of control? Okay.
Uncontrollable.
Uncontrollable or uncontrolled.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Fun.
Fun. Uh-huh.
Unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
Creative.
Creative. Yeah. Great. What else?
Exaggerating.
Exaggerating. Okay. Wild. What else? Wild or wildness.
Non-conforming.
Non-conforming. Yeah.
Joyful.
Joyful. Great.
Yeah. Somebody said unpredictable, right?
Unpredictable. Yeah, I heard that.
Natural.
Natural. Yeah. Great.
Connected, I guess.
Connected. Okay. And we heard connected too for embodied, right? So we're noticing, okay, these principles are related. What? Weird. Okay, imagine that. So wildness. You notice we had a little bit of a spectrum here. We had joyful, freedom. We also had uncontrollable, right? And often when people, we have a little bit of a stigma around wildness, right? Like it could be a little bit dangerous, right? Like a wild animal, you don't necessarily know what it's going to do. It's potentially hazardous. But ultimately that view of danger, or that view of the negative connotations of wildness comes through our human filter as a threat to society, right? Wildness is only dangerous if it is in opposition or a perceived threat to some of the norm structures of society, right? That are orderly, that are tamed, that are abiding by the laws. So maybe, and it's funny, when I put this to different audiences, I get very different reactions. Like we had a lot of really positive words here, right? Like joy, freedom, connection, right? So we're in touch with, okay, that wildness as that pure, authentic expression of life. But some groups I talk to, wildness, it's, I heard somebody say like, oh, I'm not going to paint my face with mud and run naked through the forest. And I said, I'm not asking you to. That could be one version of wildness, right? But the fawn nursing from its mother in the meadow, that's also wild, right? The baby birds, that's wild. Yes, the wolf howling at the moon is wild. Lightning is wild. But the flower bursting open, that's also wild. So I like to look at wild as, somebody said natural, free, joyful. I'll also add in the word innocent, right? Animals are guileless. They have no agenda. Plants have no agenda. They live from innocence. And just like we as wild little children, before society told you who to be, you were innocent. You had no agenda. You weren't trying to trick anybody. You weren't trying to, to make it and to manipulate, right? In our innocent hearts, we are truly wild. And when we're embodying that, when we're connecting with our own wildness, our inner wild self that is pure, that is free, and we're translating that into an embodied experience, it gives us access to our own aliveness. Now, this is going to be one of our main guiding questions for today. So I'm going to pass this around so you have this in mind. Okay? So please go ahead and take one and pass it along. Aliveness is going to be our guiding metric for this concept. And aliveness meaning not only our personal concept of feeling alive. What do we feel like when we feel alive? We feel, popcorn words,
Enthusiastic.
Energized, enthusiastic. What else?
Exuberant.
Exuberant and what did you say?
Joyful.
Joyful. Yeah, great.
Present.
Excited.
Present, excited, healthy. Yeah.
Authentic comes to mind for me.
Authentic.
Yeah.
Awesome. You notice we're hearing overlaps in all of these,
Yeah.
all three of these, right? So these are the personal experience of aliveness, our joy, our health, our enthusiasm. But aliveness, I also want us to look at as a transpersonal concept. What is the universal expression of aliveness? And here we're going to be looking at aliveness in terms of how do we personally experience it, but also when we are in connection with aliveness, we are vessels for creative potential, right? When we're holding aliveness in our bodies, we're holding the creative tension that comes from consciousness translating itself into an embodied form. Does that make sense? Are we on board with that definition? Yeah, if we are, give me a clap on three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So on your little sheets that are coming around, we have some guiding questions about aliveness. And as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a rather extended practice. We're going to have about 40 minutes. Don't worry, I'm going to guide you through it, right? And it sounds like a long time, but I promise it's going to fly by based on these different questions that we're going to be sitting with. But your aliveness is your primary metric that we're going to be playing with in this practice. So, will you please read out the first question? Yes, you. Yep, great, you.
Where in my body do I feel aliveness?
Where in my body do I feel aliveness? That's going to be the first question that we're playing with in this practice. So using our embodiment techniques that I'll be guiding you through some, as I mentioned, we did a very short meditation right at the beginning, right? Because we're essentially going to be doing 40 minutes of meditation practice, embodied meditation practice together. So that first question, where in my body do I feel aliveness? My personal experience of aliveness, but also that creative potential that is the transpersonal experience of aliveness. Okay? So where in my body do I feel aliveness? Finding the corresponding physicality of this creative potential. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Question number 2. Will you read question number 2? You.
How does aliveness want to flow into my body?
In my body. Yep. How does aliveness want to flow in my body, right? Now that I've located this physical correspondence of this creative potential, how does it want to move through my body? What is it like for me to allow aliveness to express in my physical experience? And this is, again, we keep coming back to translation. I'm so glad you said that word because that's one of my main keywords, right? What is it like to translate the energy of creative potential, of etheric, non-corporeal energy of consciousness into my physical reality? Because and this is, kind of manifestation 101, looking at, okay, how do we translate a non-corporeal energy into an earthly reality, right? The very first layer that it moves through is what?
Breath.
The body, right? The very first place that, yeah, you're all close. I heard breath, I heard aura, yes, and those are anchored in what? The body, right? So if we're looking to manifest anything, if we're looking to bring something to bear, there is a translation process. Again, we're just dipping a toe in the water of this more complicated process. It moves through the body first. So when we're able to track aliveness, when we're able to move aliveness through the body, we're able to more easily participate in this creative flow of the universe. That sound like a good idea? Yeah? We want more of that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Will you, sir, please read the third question? Do you have your sheet? Or you can borrow a sheet?
Ooh, me?
Either of you. Okay, great.
How does the third?
Yep.
How does aliveness want to express in my life?
Yes. That's where we take it beyond the immediate experience and we ask, how does aliveness want to flow through me in order to manifest on the earth, on the rest of the physical plane? Right? So we have our 3 layers. Where in my body do I feel aliveness? Knowing that our process of embody wild, we're going to be doing an embodiment practice to connect with our own wild self that innocent, pure, natural, untamed, free self that already has access to all the mysteries and all the knowledge. That's the other thing, is our innocent selves are already connected to this. We don't have to overthink it. We don't have to get stuck in our minds, right? Get out of our minds and into our bodies in order to find aliveness here in all the cells and all the layers, move aliveness through the body in order to channel aliveness, that creative potential of spirit, into our lives and into the world. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are we excited to do that?
Yes.
Yes? Awesome. Real quick, before we do stuff, because we're going to be doing about, again, 40 minutes of practice, does anyone have any questions so far? No? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you use the word aliveness, what are some other words that would mean that? How do you define that?
Yeah, aliveness, I would also say life force, right? Like we have the personal and here I want to remind you, we're working with the personal experience, but also the transpersonal experience, right? So life force, energy, vitality, right? Creative potential, all of those words essentially meaning the same thing of the expression of life within the self and the expression of life as an earthly reality. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. Great question. Thanks. Any other questions before we do practice? No? We feel pretty good? Oh, yes.
Will we essentially be doing this stuff on our own, or will we be able to, are we going to be practicing with other people, like in partners or anything like
It's
that?
all going to be in your own sphere. Yep. Yeah, I will be guiding you through it, and you can have your eyes closed the entire time if you want. You can have, I encourage actually either eyes closed or soft gaze, and Taoists call it the 1,000-yard gaze, right? So having that, like imagine that you're just sort of like unfocused, nice soft gaze. So you're aware, we're asking for spatial awareness of the people around us because there's other bodies around. Just to let you know of, or I'll walk you through the practice and what you can expect for that. But before that, any other questions?
Or do we want to be in a sort of a trance or meditative state for this?
Well, yeah.
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 So you're going to walk us through that? Too?
Yes, I am. Right, we're getting all the logistics out of the way first, but yes. Uh-huh.
I'm curious about what the filmographer said before, so we'll be able to review this online if we want to do it again at home?
Sounds like it.
Yes?
Yep.
Oh, Barbara, is that true?
Yes, they'll be posted on our website.
Great, thanks.
Fantastic. Yeah, okay.
We have to stay in our chairs. Can we sit on the ground?
You can stand up, you can move around the room, you can stay in your chair, you can sit on the ground, whatever you like. You can take off your shoes if you want to. Again, I will say if you are not in your chair, please just shove your chair back a little further so that we have more space. And again, as we're moving around, let's be mindful of other bodies in the room so that we're not smashing into people or things. Okay? Any other and I will give you all the logistics of the practice. Any questions about our concepts of embodiment, of wildness, of aliveness before we jump in? No? Feel pretty good? If we're ready to do a practice, give me a clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great, awesome. So this practice is there are many ways to do embodiment practice. This is something that I offer to clients one-on-one. This is something that I bring to groups like this. This is something that I lead meditations. And what we're doing today is essentially a relatively quiet but deep dive into our own aliveness and our own embodiment of the wild self. So we're going to be listening to music. I am a very amateur DJ, and so, but I say that, and actually, yes, I have DJ'd. So I am a DJ, but not in any professional sense. So we'll be listening to a nice little arc of music that's going to start pretty mellow. It's going to go up, not super high, but there will be a little more rhythm. There will be, more, the music will feel like more spacious in your body, and then we'll come back down, okay? If you stay seated, that's perfectly appropriate. If you want to sit on the floor, that's also appropriate. My invitation for you is your embodiment is however aliveness wants to express through your body. That is your main question of how am I connecting with my aliveness? and I'll be guiding you through, I will be talking throughout some of this, are 3 different questions. We'll kind of go through these 3 different questions, but then also other prompts to get you in touch with this, and maybe some prompts to practice, okay, how does aliveness move in a spiral shape, for example? And then you can play with, okay, what is it like to move a spiral shape, which, again, that's a much longer lesson into shamanic embodiment practices and using these shapes in a particular fashion. We're not going to go into that, but just know that spiral is an example of the primordial principle of energy movement. So what does that feel like? Your invitation for this is to have an experience. That's it. There is absolutely no agenda for this. There is nothing that you should, quote, should be getting out of this experience. There is no right or wrong way to practice this. Again, the 4 agreements. Oh my gosh, I forgot the first. Okay, show up as you are. Show up fully, right? The middle 2. Ask for help if you need it. Bring in the 3rd one too. And hold a safe and sacred container, right? We agreed to those things. Okay, that's it. This gets to be fun, okay? One other thing to keep in mind, and I will be sharing with you just before I close, about a way that you can investigate this further if you want to. As I mentioned, I do support people one-on-one with this. So if this is something that you're interested in, know that what we're doing today is, again, a dip the toe in the water version of this. And this is something that I have a lot more resources and a lot more focused attention to offer you. So I'll be sharing with you about that at the end of our time today. Does that sound good? Yes? Okay, great. Yes.
Before we get going, I have one more question for everybody. How's the temperature in here? Is it good? Somebody getting too
A little
cold?
drafty because you got the window.
I turned it down. It was really hot earlier,
Okay.
but I could turn it up again.
Well, we
I
have the
would say
window
not,
open.
yeah, let's probably not turn it up again because even if you are just
You want
standing.
to close the window?
No, let's,
Just a little bit.
yeah, okay.
Just a little bit.
We will probably be heating up,
Yeah.
okay? Because as, you know, you may not be jumping around, but moving energy with intention through the body does create heat. Okay, so please be aware that that's probably going to happen. Right. Okay, so if you'd like to take off your shoes, go ahead and take off your shoes. If you want to delayer, go ahead and do that. And I'm going to take off my shoes because, and please remember we do have this nice open space, so move into open spaces. If you feel a little constricted or if you feel like there are a lot of people around you, move to somewhere open. This room is our practice room. I will stay up here in general, but you are welcome to move about wherever you like. Okay? Yes. Can we turn the lights down?
They don't dim.
It's either
Yeah,
It's
turn them off.
either on or off, unfortunately. So, I mean, I don't care. You guys want them off? It gets dark, but on.
Try it.
Let's begin with either eyes closed or a soft gaze. And please feel free to change your positioning at any time. If you are currently seated and you decide you want to stand up later, go for it, or vice versa, whatever you need. How's the volume? Good? Okay. And so let's begin by placing the hands somewhere on the body. And allow yourself to turn your attention inward to feel the weight of your bones, feeling the warmth and strength of your muscles, feeling the flow of breath moving in and out. Softening into awareness of the body. It's almost as though the volume on your mind is being turned down. And the volume on your body wisdom is correspondingly being turned up. During this time, let's create an invitation for whatever your body would like to share with you, that you receive this message, knowing that your body is an infinite store of wisdom that is connected to all the mysteries of earth. Take a breath into this. body that we're doing something different now. We're changing up the awareness. So go ahead and start to roll one ankle, making circles with the ankle, bringing some fluidity and flexibility to the joint. And roll it the other way. And roll the other ankle. And roll the other way. Go ahead and make some circles with the knees. If you're not standing, then go ahead and flex your knees, move your knees around to open up some space in these joints. And circle the other way. And setting your feet about hip width distance apart, go ahead and make some circles with the hips. And as we go through each of these areas of the body, just starting to notice, is there openness in the body? Is there constriction in the body? Is there flow? Is there stagnation? What do you notice? And go the other way. And beginning to flex the spine, exhaling to curve forward, making a C shape with the body. And inhaling back. Exhale, curve forward. Inhale, arch back. Bringing that flexion with the flow of your breath, following your own flow through the spine. And bring a side stretch to one side, holding the arm over your head. And to the other side. And gently twisting the torso, letting the hands just kind of flop around you, being careful not to hit people around you. If you're seated, just bringing some nice twisting to the spine. Great. And let's make some circles with the arms, again being mindful of other bodies in the space. Circling the shoulders. And circle the other way. And circle the elbows. And circle elbows other way. And circle the wrists. And circle wrists other way. And now go ahead and take a moment to make whatever movements your body is asking for to open. So maybe there's a stretch, maybe you want to repeat one of these. Maybe you want to do a forward fold and stretch down, pedaling the feet. Maybe you just want to give a big yawn. Whatever your body is asking for to open more. Good, maybe some shaking. And I invite you to think of this as a conversation with your body. Knowing that now you've turned up the volume on your body awareness, your body knows, hey, they're listening now. We get to be in conversation. It's going to start sharing more messages with you. And so we're just going to take a moment here before we start asking questions, before we start doing anything, to just simply allow ourselves to be in our bodies and allow ourselves to have an experience of not trying to make any particular movement or make any particular shape. Just what does the body want to do? Everybody's eyes are closed or they're not looking at you, so it doesn't matter. What is the body asking to do now that it has your attention? Maybe it's asking for a big movement. Maybe it's asking for stillness, whatever it is. Responding to the desires of the body, responding to its requests for movement or stillness. Flow, remember to move the breath, noticing that part of this is creating a map of our awareness in the body, knowing that our primary metric is aliveness, our personal experience of aliveness, and the transpersonal experience of creative tension of aliveness, using the breath and using movements of the body to create more space, more freedom, more joy, more connection. All those beautiful words that we were talking about earlier. What can you do in your body now that will let you experience more of that? More aliveness. Question to map where is the physical experience of aliveness in the body. Is it localized in a particular area? Is it spread throughout? Is it present in the organs, in the skin, in every cell? And take a moment to simply notice and track where in your body you experience aliveness. And when you feel that, start to notice what sensations, what textures, what energies does that aliveness hold. This is you forming a relationship with that frequency so you can access it more easily in the future. What is the quality of your aliveness? And as you find this frequency of aliveness in your body, as you find its physical connection, and you start to feel the texture and get to know the sensations of this aliveness, what can you ask it to do? Do you want to ask it to get bigger? Do you want to ask it to move in a particular way? We're going to ask this aliveness a question. Now that you've found it in your body, you've found this connection, you've allowed it to move through you, you've gotten to know this frequency, what does your aliveness want you to know? What message does your own aliveness have for you? Maybe that message comes in the form of words or images, or maybe that message comes in the form of a movement. Which brings us to our next question. How does aliveness want to move through my body? How does life force, how does energy, how does creative potential want to move and express through my body? And whatever that is, move that. Space, so if you need to move, use the space to move aliveness through your body according to its direction and desire. We can start to direct this a little bit by creating different invitations. So if you like, these are all optional invitations. How does aliveness want to move through my feet? And see what happens with your feet as embodying your wild self, your wild nature of aliveness. Sending your breath into your feet. Discovering the expression of your own wild self, your pure What is the expression of aliveness in my legs? How does aliveness want to move through my legs? Maybe try making some circles with the hips, or try kneeling or squatting if that's comfortable to you. Noticing what different shapes of your body bring to your expression of aliveness and your wild self. So how does it increase your overall experience of aliveness in the rest of your body? Sending your breath into your torso, into the midsection. We got a lot of organs and soft tissue. So inviting, how does aliveness want to move through my midsection? Through the stomach, through the liver, through the gallbladder, through the kidneys, through the ribs. Maybe making some circles with the ribs. Feeling different points of expansion and contraction in the lungs by moving the torso, by moving the rib cage. And how can you create more space, more openness for your own original nature to express through the body? Aliveness want to move through your arms, inviting that radiance of your wild self, your untamed, non-conforming, free, joyful self that has connection to aliveness, to life. How does that want to move through your arms? Maybe making some different shapes with your arms and seeing what that feels like. And including your hands, your fingers in this expression. Maybe trying a different speed of movement than you have been. If you've been going slow or going with the rhythm, try going faster. Or try slowing down. This one's going to be fun to play with. How does aliveness want to move through my face? Right? So making big lion face, squinching your face up, using your hands to rub your face to move energy through your face, making all sorts of different faces. How does vitality want to express? How does your freedom, your wild self, what face does your wild self want to make? A lot of energy gets stuck in the face, in the scalp. So go ahead and, if you like, give yourself a little scalp massage while you're here. unless you're super talented and you can just wiggle your scalp on its own, use your hands to bring some movement to this area. And getting down to the back of the neck while you're there, just creating some movement in this area of the body. And rolling the neck. And once again, we'll return to that full body awareness. How does aliveness want to move through your body now? Now that you've tracked it, now that you've found it, now that you've invited it to specifically orient to all these different areas of your body. Once again, what is the whole body experience of moving your aliveness, of embodying that wild self? Knowing that aliveness is the metric. So when our aliveness is high, it means that we are in touch with our wild self. We are embodied. When our aliveness is low or constricted, we're not fully embodied. We're not in touch with this wild self that is pure, that is joyful, that is expansive. So all of this is an opportunity for you to simply practice tracking aliveness and making adjustments to experience more of it. Introduce a shape. I mentioned spiral shape earlier, so somehow introduce a spiral into your movement. And notice what happens. And again, there's no should, there's nothing that you should be getting out of this. Just have an experience and try spiraling the other way. What happens? To a different part of your body. Try spiraling in a different capacity. Try one more of these shamanic keys because we can and it's fun. Infinity. What is it like to move the shape of infinity through your body in some way? And how does that affect your ability to connect with your own embodied self, your wild self? How does aliveness want to express in my life? We're keeping the attention within the body, and we're also keeping in mind the other manifestations of our aliveness, meaning our families, our homes, our planet, our career. And we're asking, how does my aliveness and how does the aliveness, of which I am just a piece, how does aliveness want to express in my life, and how can I be a conduit for that aliveness as my wild self? And with our intention here, we're inviting all this energy that we're embodying our pure, untamed nature to not only flow through our body, but to flow beyond the body. start to interface with our lives, the rest of our lives, the rest of the world, knowing that this work that we're doing is not only for us, but it's for all those around us, for all beings on earth, and for the earth herself. So what are the prayers that we want to move into being through the body? What is the energy that we want to translate from spirit through our own body into our lives for the benefit of all beings? And how does that want to move through you? So whatever it is, you can play with some of the same shapes as earlier, or some of the same invitations, but this final piece of our practice is for you to dance and to move this prayer that you have for your life, this prayer that you have for Gaia, to move it through your body in whatever way will bring the most aliveness to the planet. Breath here to imagine sending all of this aliveness, all this movement, all this freedom and joy and connection out into the world around you, out into all these people, your community who's gathered here, knowing that all of us are holding within our bodies and within our hearts the prayer for Earth, for a new earth based in love, compassion, grace, harmony, integrity, and knowing that our own wild selves, the version of you before society told you who to be, this is the key to your own liberation. This is the key to your freedom, your joy, your love. And when you bring this into your body, inspire others to do the same. And you get to be a way shower for all those in your life, for all those on earth, to access their wild selves that is innocent, that is loving, that is pure. Use your breath. How can you ask every single cell in your body to remember this feeling of your own aliveness? You're programming every part of your body to vibrate with this frequency of your wild self. Knowing that you hold the key within you to connect always with the nature of creation. An invitation for a couple of minutes here to move around the space in a different way. Start practicing that feeling of taking it beyond your immediate sphere and out into the environment. So I'm going to stay more or less here, but you all, invitation to move around the space, staying in your own space, or your own emotional and energetic space, but using your breath to follow your body. Following the path of your aliveness through the physical space and practicing that feeling within you with a soft gaze, eyes closed if you still have that, but start to sense the aliveness of others around you, and start to sense in your body and in your energy fields their wild self. Start to feel and witness your community, your tribe of people who are also here holding this frequency of aliveness, vitality, life, creation. And start to notice, how does your own aliveness respond when you're in participation with others? Maybe as you move by someone, your body starts to mimic the shapes that they're making, and there's a resonance. Or maybe as you move with somebody, you find that your own energy is responding in some way. And knowing that all of us here, we are mirrors for each other. We are amplifiers for each other and for the rest of the beings on this planet. And we are always in this conversation. We're always participating in this exchange of aliveness. Most of the time we're not aware of it, but it's always happening. So what happens when you bring it to the forefront of your consciousness? And now we're going to start very gently bringing our awareness up to an eye-level gaze, and to start actually meeting the eyes of the people around you as you're moving through space. You can exchange a smile if you like, or a wink, or a nod, but some form of acknowledgement of, I see you in your aliveness, in your wild, embodied self. I see you. I am you. I feel you. I feel your vitality. I feel your aliveness. And my aliveness is responding and growing as a result. And isn't this great? That we get to feed our aliveness together. And still allowing it to move through the body in whatever way it desires, bringing it up into connection, bringing it into communion. Noticing what's happened in the room as a result. Expanding the awareness to our collective experience, all of us here, creating aliveness together. Connecting with that part of ourself that is pure, that is giggly, that is innocent, that is loving, and allowing it to move through the body. shifting the awareness back to the self in the internal space. Once again, coming to that 1,000-yard gaze or eyes closed, placing your hands on your body. And sensing what changes have taken place already in this practice. What is your aliveness like now? And we're going to ask once again for messages from your wild self and from your body. Breathing into this, what does your own wild self want you to know? Whatever you receive, offer it a deep bow of acknowledgement and gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much to your wild self that is sharing this wisdom with you. We're going to ask the body the same thing. What does your body, your beautiful, powerful, lovely body want you to know? And whatever you receive, again, offering this a deep bow of acknowledgement and gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much to your beautiful body for this experience today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to very, very gently carry all of this information, all this experience, slowly landing it back with us in this moment that is now. Gently arriving back in present time awareness. Gently beginning to wiggle the toes on the ground. Landing back in this space and time. Wiggling the fingers. Beginning to flicker the eyes. And when you're ready, opening the eyes. And let's go ahead and take 3 breaths together. Deep breath in. And out. Deep breath in. And out. One more deep breath in. And before we head back to our seats, let's go ahead and take your hands in a gratitude position. And we'll offer one deep bow of gratitude to this space, to this earth. We're holding space for this practice today. Thank you, thank you, thank you to this earth. And second bow of gratitude to all the lineage holders, all the wisdom keepers, all those who have carried the torch of knowledge forward for the benefit of all beings. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And third and last, a deep bow of gratitude to yourself for taking space and time for this practice today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And gently, easefully making your way back to your seats. Or you can stay standing or here. Whatever your body wants to do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's wonderful.
Adjusting layers, adjusting lights. Do we need the lights back on, or are we okay to stay?
Do you want them on Oliver to film?
It's fine. Okay. Beautiful.
It's like recess.
Wow.
Great.
On the playground.
How are we doing? We're going to take a few minutes and debrief here. I heard something about a playground.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's like recess.
Yeah. Awesome.
Adult recess.
Adult recess, but
I
better.
wonder if we could turn on that light.
The one little
Because
light?
that's more, something.
It's a good compromise.
Is it plugged in? Is it plugged in?
No,
Oh, there you go.
no juice.
No juice in the light.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Beautiful. How are we doing?
Light.
Light? Awesome. Let's go ahead and I want to take a moment to land this in. So if you'd like to make any notes, if that would feel helpful to you, and let's also turn to the person sitting next to you, and we're going to take about a minute, so you have maybe 45 seconds each, so we'll take about a minute and a half to share with the person sitting next to you something that you got out of that experience. Ready, go. And I'll tell you when to switch. Haven't already switch partners or switch sharing? Do we need more time to share?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take one more minute to share, one more minute. And let's go ahead and wrap up our discussion with your partner.
Ignore.
Because I want to hear some of this shared in our group. Does anyone have anything that they would like to share with the group about your experience?
Well, I started with a few aches and pains that I was focusing on,
Yeah.
and kind of helped relieve some of those. And I still have them; they're not gone, but I was able to work through it to a point where I was able to really enjoy the movement and
Awesome.
the free flow. So it was really nice to get through that process.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Is that something that you're able to do regularly, or is that a challenge for you?
Well, the thing is, I don't think I take the time to do that in such a nice,
Ding,
focused
ding,
way.
ding, ding. Okay. Thank you. So taking the time to be in your body helps you feel better in your body? Is that what I'm hearing?
Perhaps.
Weird. Okay. Is that a new idea? No? Okay. Is it something that we want to work on and do a little bit more? Maybe? Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. What's your name?
Ron.
Ron, thank you for sharing. Ron, let's give Ron a clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, beautiful. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I realized I connect to spirit, which is a very solitary thing, so I connected here, but I did it in a group.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the solitary things I need to do with other people. And that was very powerful. The energy in the room shifted for me from disjointed to very cohesive and very kind and gentle.
Awesome. Yeah.
Let me very kind.
Beautiful. Okay, so you were feeling I'm hearing there was a shift in our collective experience through being in our own space, but then opening it up to have a collective experience that was really positive for you, that helped you have this very direct experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else have a similar experience? No?
I had a
Maybe.
similar experience.
Similar experience? Yeah, I'm seeing some hands down here. It's okay to say yeah. What's your name?
Kaja.
Kaja?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's give Kaja a clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. What were you going to say?
Oh, I just noticed a lot of joy when you were having us walk around and feel everybody. I was just picking up on a lot of joy, which was really nice.
Yeah.
When the cards first came around and I looked at the first question, my immediate response was, I feel it in my heart chakra.
Yeah.
But then after we did all the movement, and then you asked later, where are you noticing it? My third eye was like pulsating and bright, and it's like, wow, that really surprised me. That,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Very different.
Awesome. Thank you. Did anyone else have an experience of feeling aliveness either in a different area or feeling it differently in your body from the beginning to the end of the practice?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so we moved energy and it worked, right? Did our aliveness feel more expansive?
Yeah.
Yes?
Expansion
Did-
is good word.
Huh?
Expansion is a great word.
Yeah? Did it feel like we had more of it?
Yeah.
Did it feel like we could find it a little easier?
Yeah.
Yes? Amazing, all good stuff. What's your name?
Barbara.
Barbara. Clap for Barbara on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Yeah, Teresa.
Well, speaking of expansion,
Mhm.
my message on the number 2 question was be bigger. In terms of the energy field that I have, it can be bigger. Let it go.
Yeah.
Don't hold it back here. Let it go.
Amazing. Thank you. Anyone else have the experience of being bigger? Yeah? Let's just see the hands higher. Like, be bigger. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. Clap for Teresa on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do one more share if there's one more. Yes.
I got the message that I needed to grieve for my old self.
Yeah.
I had a lot of grief trapped in my body.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I hadn't given myself permission to feel it for a really long time, so I'm finally giving myself permission. I need to feel it. It's okay to feel it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, our aliveness can feel like that, right? Aliveness is not only joy and love and connection, it's also what is it like to be present with our pain, right? That's alive too. Thank you for sharing that. How did it feel to bring some of that attention? Did you start to notice some shifts even just within our little experience here?
You mean from other people or within myself?
No, within yourself, from having that awareness. Was your awareness enough to, and of course I know this is a longer process, but was there anything that shifted as a result?
Yeah, I think that some energy flow started to come down this way.
Yeah.
Because like it felt like it was in my upper body and in my hands, but it wasn't in my lower body. Like I'd been cut off from my lower part of my body for whatever reason. I can think of a lot of reasons for that. And then also, you know, it just felt like it just unlocked, like I just started crying and I could just, you know, I just felt the grief just wave over me and I could just feel it.
Beautiful.
Emotionally in my body.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Did anyone else come across some emotion that they were feeling in their body? Yeah? Right. So embodiment is really powerful for tuning us into whatever emotion. Can be joy, can be love, can be contentment, can be pain, can be rage, can be grief, whatever. But being in our bodies gives us an easier access point to all of that emotion and lets us move it in a really healthy way. What's your name?
Sophie.
Sophie, let's clap for Sophie on 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody. I really, really hope that you got something out of this experience. Did you have fun?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you had fun, clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Me too. That was great. I even went to dance this morning, so I had already like my big chunk of embodiment, and then coming here, it's like, okay, more. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you. It's simple, right? But that doesn't mean it's easy. And so like Ron, right? Ron, like you were saying about taking the time to do this is usually the biggest thing that holds us back. Is like, oh, I think it needs to be a complicated process, or I think I need to do things a certain way. I honestly can't tell you the massive list of reasons I've heard from people why they aren't in their bodies or why they can't be in their bodies. And I mean, I've been in that boat too. I've made excuses too. But ultimately, it's about presence, right? And even if we'd only done a 5-minute practice, I guarantee you would have experienced some shift or you would have felt some different access. We did an extended practice because we could and because we had time. And again, that's only a drop in the bucket, people. That was a dip the toe in the water version of what is possible when we access that part of ourselves. And our wild self, we barely scratched the surface today of what wildness means. But I encourage you to sit with, who is your wild self? Who is that wild animal version of your body that is here living on this planet, and how do they move through the world? What is that pure, untamed, unfettered, joyful, free, connected version of you? And how can that version show up more? How can you embody that? And how can you go out in the world like we did at the end of our practice today and connected with others from that space? What would your life be like if you did that every day? Yeah.
How long was that?
How long?
Yes.
About 40 minutes. Wow. It felt like 5, right? It felt like maybe 10.
10.
Yeah. It felt like 10 minutes. I told you, 40 minutes sounds long, it's going to fly by, right? Did it fly by?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this whole concept. So if I were to be able to act as my wild nature, as the day I was born, the rest of society is going to think I'm crazy.
They might.
Is that not true?
They
So
might.
where does this leave me? I can internally say, okay, I'm wild, I just do whatever comes to my mind like a child. But
Well,
the world's going to say, this guy needs to be in an asylum.
So that's a really good question, right?
And
That's
they
a
are
really
going to
good
be correct.
question.
I don't have a choice.
And I'll say yes, and let's remember that nature does have an order. right? If we think about, for example, I volunteer with horses every week. I volunteer at a wild Mustang rescue ranch. So I work with wild horses. They have herd behavior. They have a social structure that lets them be wild, but also keeps the assholes in check, right? So if one of the horses is feeling really full of herself, and there's this one horse that tends to, act out and be really annoying, there are ways that the rest of her herd responds to her in such a way not to shut her down, but to help her align with a harmonious experience for all beings. And ultimately, wildness is not, it's only perceived as threatening to structures that don't know what to do with it, right? So yeah, if we're as this version of ourselves in a really big way, in a really dramatic way, people might think we're crazy. That's just a risk we're gonna have to run, people, honestly. And yet, ultimately, when we're truly in contact with our wild selves also seek harmony. Our wild selves seek alignment. Just as beings in nature seek harmony and seek alignment, and we are a collaborative species, right? Humans are a social species. We are naturally designed to create harmony with each other. So being wild isn't at odds with that inherently, and ultimately the people who have a problem with it, because let's be honest, there are always going to be people who have a problem with something, it's because they're not in touch with their wildness. So my invitation for you, that's a really great question, is play with it, have some balance, right? And know that we do still live in a world that requires us to show up on time to things and wear clothes, even if we don't want to, and whatever other norms we conform to, and knowing that we can still do that from a place of being in touch with our own authentic wild nature. So, balance.
Also, I think we getting stuck a little bit in like this wellness as a physical sense, but I think that it's also giving us permission to be wild in a political sense too, and in our ideas and our thoughts, and going against the grain and against the norm to what we feel and what we believe, giving us more permission for that, for whatever our ideas and beliefs are in that way. So I don't think we need to get stuck in this physical. Like we don't have to walk around, feeling like we're in a jungle and acting like it. But we can think outside the box more and give ourselves permission in that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. How does wildness translate beyond the personal experience into a societal experience, into an advocacy experience? Yeah, great point.
Not only that, but how you are now is also what you're going to attract to yourself, right? So we want to be our original selves so that we will attract other people that will appreciate that and like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, thank you.
For myself, I'm pretty sensitive. So when I'm out there in the world, I come home, and because we have so much to conform for, I just release it all, just like this here. I lay on the floor and I just start, and it releases all that, what is being put on me. And so I do it on a regular basis, but I didn't know exactly, I've never been to actual workshop to teach you this.
Oh, it's a thing, absolutely.
So it was wonderful, thank you so much, because I didn't really know what I was doing. But for me, it's a regular practice. It discharges my anger, frustration, unhappiness, whatever, grief, and I'll allow myself to cry, scream, besides just move, while my body is moving, and just be really bizarre. But I live out in the country, so I don't have neighbors, So there's
the solution right there. Move out to the country and then go here. Awesome. And what's your name?
Diana.
Diana, yeah, to your point, we intuitively know how to do this, right? We're in this position where, we're conditioned, we're trained, we're told, stop fidgeting, our bodies naturally discharge energy and discharge emotion. So sit still, stop fidgeting, Go sit down. Why can't you be quiet? Stop making so much noise, right? All these are things, anyone heard anything like that ever in their lives? Like, all the time? Never? Okay, I don't know who you are. You don't, yeah.
I was totally joking. Sarcastic, I swear.
Right, but all of these things are designed to keep us small, keep us conformed. So the wild self, what is it like to allow the body to do what it knows how to do, essentially? That was what we were doing today. Again, it's simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, it's very simple. So with this, I do have an invitation as we're closing for today. Would you object terribly to the lights going back on? Because I do have something that you might want to see. Okay, thank you. So I do have a couple of invitations for you. One of which, someone was asking about the music. Whoa, okay, all right. I did ask for the lights, okay. I am pretty sure, I will have to check and make sure, but I'm pretty sure I have that audio track uploaded on my online music page. So if you would like to receive that audio track, / stay in touch with me, / access any of the other amazing resources that I have for you, I have 2 sheets of paper going around on this clipboard. The first one with all the lines here is just a way to get on my list. If you put your name and email on this list, I will send you a follow-up email that has a link to that audio page, and you will also get emails from me. I've got a podcast with about 100 episodes. I have a free online community with lots of class recordings with lots of other really amazing material. And I send out articles regularly that have good stuff in them. So if you want that, go ahead and put yourself on this list here. The second sheet of paper, if you want to have a conversation with me, I have 6. I have 6 spaces open for if you want to have a chat with me for an hour, one-on-one, and talk about your Embody Wild experience. I'm calling it your free Embody Wild assessment to look at how is embodiment happening in your life, what is your experience of your own wild nature like, and what recommendations can I offer you. So again, what we did here is a drop in the bucket. There is always more, and there is more that I offer people one-on-one. There's more that I have a lot of resources for. If you are interested in having a talk with me, go ahead and claim one of these spots. If you really, really want one and none of the times work for you, or they're all full by the time the list gets to you, go ahead and put your name and information on the bottom of this sheet, and I'll reach out to you and we'll work that out. Okay? And that'll be an invitation also if you are interested in receiving one-on-one support with me. This is something that I work with people on, and I am local. I do live here, so you would have the option to come see me in person at my healing studio for sessions. So, name and email here if you want the email and the audio and all the good stuff, and grab a session time if you want to talk to me. So I'll send that around. Yep, and